Code open here. Code open here. Get your code open here. Arizona State moves to 4-1 on the season. Get your code open here.
It's a Victory Monday here. Welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always on these lovely shows by the one, the only Mr. Cold Open.
Code open here.
Erik Ruby.
Get your code open.
The one, the only Captain Redbeard behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. Guys, do us a solid. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. And if you're not doing it for us, drop that like button for the fact that your Sun Devils are 4-1, baby. Can you believe it? Can you believe Arizona State, Kenny Dillingham in year 2? 4-1. Well, we're going to talk about it. We're going to give you a little appetizer on what's in store for that Arizona-Utah game this Friday. But before we get into all of that, I want to talk about the duo in the desert, Sam Leavitt, Jordyn Tyson, baby. They had their best game as a duo together, and it is absolutely incredible. House of Heat Sports, good afternoon. I was at the game on Saturday. Saw you guys walk right by my section. You got to say what's up next time, man. Got to say what's up. Joe in the chat, no, we did not change the show recently. As of, months and months and months ago, we did move from 2:30 to 1:30. But now it has been at 1:30 every day for quite some time. I believe it is listed at 1:35 just in case. But we always do go live here on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel at 1:30. But Erik, duo in the desert, Sam Leavitt, Jordyn Tyson.
Yeah. Woo! Sam Leavitt and Jordyn Tyson. Sam Leavitt.
Big 12 newcomer of the week, Sam Leavitt.
Newcomer of the week. Yeah, I will say before we get to, if any of you guys see us at a game,
yeah, say what's up.
Literally grab us. Nothing that we're doing is important. I'm kidding. But if you see us and we're walking by, because to get down on the field from the press box, you walk through the fans, you walk down a section, down the stairs. Yeah. So if you guys see us or even see somebody that you think is us, bother them and say that you're a huge fan. No, but Sam Leavitt, I was looking back at the tape, the film, the highlights from the first game, and not the first game, from the game on Saturday, and arrived. I'm not sure if I'm there yet.
We're in the air. We're in the air on this plane.
But he's taken off. And the reason why I'm not ready to say Sam Leavitt has arrived is because to me that would mean that the Sam Leavitt we're seeing is the Sam Leavitt we're going to get. And I think he can still get better. Mm-hmm. I know he can still get better. I know Kenny thinks he can still get better. I know he thinks that he can still get better.
Yeah.
So I won't say Sam Leavitt has arrived. And so I feel like Sam Leavitt is playing at a level where he can't get any better.
I think that's a fair assessment. I think
at least this season.
This is the best. I think these two have looked together.
Agreed.
Right, Leavitt and Jordyn Tyson, and that is with, if you're a box score chaser, Leavitt didn't have the greatest completion percentage in the world. He didn't have the most passing yards in the world, but he was efficient, got it done, and he found the end zone when this team needed him. Came up big on some big third downs, and then of course at the end of the game with 16 seconds left, was able to toss a touchdown to Tyson. And then for Jordyn Tyson, he didn't have his best day either, but still found the end zone twice. 76 receiving yards, I believe 7 catches, something around that, around that number. But I think for me, it's not even necessarily about the stats. It's those two looked more comfortable. I can't think of a time in the game this past weekend where you're like, man, these two, they missed each other, right? And I'm sure they did, but there have been, over the first few games of the season, some moments where there have been some deep balls that us, other media, and the fan base has been like, man, I really wish that they could hit on those. And you haven't still, I don't think, seen that yet. I don't think you've seen these two, like you said, really get to the point to where they can be, but the growth that we're entering now at this point in the season versus where these two were in week 1, week 2, and even against Texas Tech, I mean, it's been a massive jump.
Huge jump. You've seen the progression, and you've seen it in the passing game. With Jordyn Tyson, Sharon says a lot of drop passes, though. His stats should have been higher. With, I think, also talking about just Leavitt in general. There were some drops, including the one interception that is on Sam Leavitt's resume from today actually came from Jordyn Tyson, tipping a ball that he probably should have caught.
Yeah.
But one of the things that really encourages me is the fact that in a game where, Sam Leavitt was just 14 for 24 and Jordyn Tyson has 2 turnovers, right? A fumble and then causes an interception as well. They still trusted each other. They still looked like a dynamic 1-2 punch. And in the big moments, Sam Leavitt still hit Jordyn Tyson.
Yeah.
Right? That's the true relationship between a wide receiver 1 and everybody else. Jordyn Tyson had 6 receptions. Xavier Guillory had 1 reception. Shaman Matire had 1 reception. Cam Scadaboo had 2 receptions. Clayton Smith had a reception. Troy Amiri had 1. Jake Smith had 1. Raleek Brown had 2. The 2 next closest as far as Arizona State receiving goes is Cam Scadaboo and Raleek Brown at 2 apiece.
Yeah, both running backs.
Jordyn had 6.
Yeah.
Right? And 2 touchdowns as well. Now, to be fair to Shaman Matire and Xavier Guillory, both of their 1 receptions were 20-yard touchdowns as well. But you've definitely seen Tyson become that guy, and Sam Leavitt in his own right also become that guy. And I think they can both get better, especially as we've seen time goes off. You're coming off of a bye week. We've seen that improvement, right? Like when you played Texas State and Jordyn had 100 yards, the only ASU receiver to get over 100 yards this season. Well, you saw that because he progressed from game 1 to game 2 to game 3. The passing game got better. Sam Leavitt got better.
Yeah.
Bye week, you come back. Sam Leavitt looks good, throws 4 touchdowns, shouldn't have an interception on his record, even though he does. Jordyn Tyson still makes mistakes, but comes through still by far and away the most receptions, the most targets, and the biggest impact as far as a receiver goes.
I mean, if that interception is caught by Jordyn Tyson, that's a 5th touchdown.
Yep.
That's a 5th touchdown for Jordyn Tyson. And I mean, that completely rewrites how the end of this football game gets played at that point. House of Heat Sports in the chat, the best D-ball I've seen Leavitt throw was to Guillory. Yes. That was a dime. That was the open first drive of the game. Leavitt went 3 for 3, I believe 45 yards through the air in that touchdown pass. It looked like they were going to absolutely just gut that Kansas secondary. And then they really started to step up. They really started to tighten things up. So I love the fact that kind of on the fly, this team was able to make some adjustments, whether that be getting Cam Scadaboo the ball a little bit more, trying to open up the passing attack. And it worked. It worked at the end of the day. Some phenomenal play design by Marcus Arroyo. We were talking about it a little bit in the press box as some of those were going on live. And Sam executed the changes in the game plan, I think, to a T. Coach Stark Holmes in the chat. Sam almost got me the 250 total offensive yards with 175 pass and 75 rushing. That's my goal for him each game. Do you feel like that's a reasonable goal to hit every single game throughout the rest of the season?
The way that Sam Leavitt's been playing, especially with the amount of yards he's getting on the ground, 10 carries with 77 yards, 7.7 per carry, a long of 16. Yeah. I think that the expectations for Sam Leavitt should 100% absolutely be that 250.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because he's proven that he can do it. And the thing I loved about this game, especially when it comes to Sam Leavitt running, where there was the improvised ones, including the really big one that set up the Guillory touchdown in the first drive. But there was also set runs as well. You don't get to 10 carries without it being part of the game plan, right? Sam Leavitt's QB1, Sam Leavitt's RB2.
Yeah.
Right? We had this whole conversation about DeCarlos Brooks, Raleek Brown, at the beginning of the season, a couple other names thrown in there as well as who's going to be running back 2, who's going to be running back 3. The answer all along was Sam Leavitt.
Yeah.
Right? And it rightfully should be. He's been an absolute lethal force with his legs. And it's opened up a lot because now that opening drive is such a perfect encapsulation of if Sam Leavitt's firing on all cylinders with that type of talent, the type of athleticism that he has, and this scheme with this offense, it's the perfect, just little minute encapsulation of what he can do, right? He does an improvised run, there's a scheduled run, and then he also goes 3 for 3 in the air, including a 28-yard touchdown pass. That was a dime.
Yeah.
It was a dime.
It was probably his best throw of the day.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to say best throw of the season, but it's certainly one of.
Yeah, no. It was a great ball. And kind of getting back to the ground game, I know I want to talk a little bit about Leavitt and Tyson and all that stuff, but you got to continue to give props to Marcus Arroyo. this team ran the ball for 313 yards. So it wasn't just Cam Scatterbu, right? And I know Scat had 186 of those, 7.4 yards per carry. Leavitt, like you mentioned, 77 yards on the ground, 7.7 yards per carry. Raleek Brown carried the ball 7 times, 41 yards, still averaging nearly 6 yards a tote.
Yep.
DeCarlos Brooks carried it a single time, 8 yards. Melquan Stovall had an attempt on there for 12 yards. Jake Smith's the only one, and that was on kind of a failed end around where they lost 11. But other than that, every single person that touched the ball on a rush averaged over 5.5 yards per carry. You're doing something right from a scheme perspective. It's not just Cameron Scatterbu. And a lot of credit needs to be given to the offensive line. Kenny Dillingham mentioned at his press conference today that he felt like in the Texas Tech game, they tried to do a little too much scheme. And that's kind of what he meant earlier in terms of trying to chase ghosts. And they got back to really just pounding the rock, keeping it easy. And that's what you saw from this offensive line.
Yeah, and that's what you saw the first 2 weeks was in the trenches, ASU dominated on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
And especially on that offensive side against the Mississippi State team who, yes, was only sending 3, which, again, probably the dumbest thing we've seen a football team do in college football this season.
This season's pretty stupid, yeah.
Yeah, pretty stupid. But still, you saw the line dominate and you saw the type of numbers that Scat put up in that game. This team and Sam Leavitt isn't able to deliver those deep balls. Sam's not able to run if the offensive line isn't at least buying him time to make those types of decisions.
Yeah.
And it's all credit to him for making the decision. And there was not really a moment in this game where I was like, Sam, what are you doing? That's the wrong choice. You're making the wrong read there. Oh, you should have passed it, but you ran it. Vice versa. Even his one interception wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting back and I'm like, your redshirt freshman quarterback, 5 games into the season, 6 weeks with a bye, has your team at 4-1, is constantly gotten better, and still has room to improve.
Yeah.
And as long as that offensive line protects him, he has Cam Scatterbu as a safety net in the backfield. And now he has his relationship with Jordyn Tyson seemingly growing organically as well. Like it never felt forced, right? It was like, oh, well, Jordyn Tyson's open. I'm going to hit Jordyn Tyson. We all expected Jordyn Tyson to be wide receiver number 1. Now, could he spread out the love a little bit more? Sure. And maybe he will as time goes on, as far as somebody else getting up into the 3-4 reception range.
I mean,
but it was spread out as far as a ton of people recorded a pass.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
There were a bunch of catches. Tyson, like you said, 6 catches on 7 targets. Scat caught both of his targets. Raleek was 2 of 4 targets. Guillory was 1 of 3 targets. So it's not like he's not necessarily trying to share it. It's just some of these guys
he's actively doing it.
There were drops. There were some uncharacteristic drops from some of the wide receivers. And it's going to be interesting to see. Kenny announced at his press conference today, wide receiver Malik McClain. They are working to redshirt him for the remainder of the season. So you won't see Malik McClain. At least you're not expected to see Malik McClain for the rest of the season. So that is really going to put some more pressure, I think, on some of these backup wide receivers to step up. A Jake Smith, who we thought was going to I thought was somebody that needed to have a big game.
Yeah.
Get him involved in the game plan. And ultimately, he had 1 catch for 4 yards, and then he had an end around where he lost 11 yards. So I think you're going to start to see more Jake Smith. You're going to start to see Troy O'Meary. You have already seen Shimon Matire, I think, a good chunk this season.
Yeah.
And
You've seen him a lot.
And it's been impressive what he's been able to do to this point in the year. Kenny was at the presser today talking about, Shimon coming from Colorado. They didn't necessarily know. You didn't know what you were going to get. And he has been just over the moon about having Shimon Matire at that tight end position in a room that doesn't necessarily have a ton of depth at this point in the season. But he's also been a big part in that Arizona State run game, which we just finished talking about.
Well, the thing with Shimon Matire that's great is that he knows when he's needed to make an impact. Even before his touchdown, we were up in the press box and you said, I think they're going to get Shimon Matire involved in here. And he was wide open.
Yeah.
He walks into the end zone. You go back to the Texas State game, and there was a period of time where if Shimon Matire wasn't out on the field, they were not moving the ball.
Yeah.
Right. But it's never he has to get involved. You have to include him. He's there and he'll block and he'll get everything ready on the offense and do what needs to be done. Gets all the dirty work as well. He's not your primary blocking tight end, but he still does it. But when he's needed to make a reception, he has been able to step up in that moment and score too, like in big spots. Like that Shimon, that touchdown from him was huge.
Well, Kenny was talking earlier today at the presser, and he was saying that you talk to any defensive end, any defensive coach, in the nation, and they'll tell you that your tight end's not blocking our defensive end. It's not happening. And 9 times out of 10, that's the truth. You just don't have a lot of blocking tight ends, at least coming to Arizona State in this day and age of college football. But he said, I'll take a tie. I'll absolutely take a tie with a defensive end every now and then. And on that touchdown, Matire was in there blocking, and it was a late release. That's why he was free. Mm-hmm. He was absolutely free. So you start to, when you have an offensive coordinator with a brain, which Arizona State hasn't necessarily had for a long time, you start to see those types of things actually pay off, right? And people talk about it in the ground game, always setting up the play action. There are little things individually with personnel, like having your tight end just block, quarter after quarter after quarter, not necessarily running a whole lot of routes, maybe leaking out to the flat every now and then, but a designed play that is dedicated to hitting your tight end off of a late release right across the middle with 20 seconds left in the half. Like, Marcus Arroyo can set those things up.
Right. Well, let's talk about Marcus Arroyo a little bit, because I do feel like he set a lot up in this game masterfully.
Yeah.
I know that I wanted more touches for Scat at the end of the first quarter.
Finished with 25.
Right? But he finished with 25. So he obviously had the game plan of let's work him into it. Let's get Sam a little bit more comfortable, go through the air, and then work him in. And the thing that I thought was beautiful from Arroyo was everything he was setting up in the first half, it seemed like he countered in the second, right? And I think that's him. I also think that's Kenny, because if you think back to it, I forget which player in the offseason was talking to us about Kenny's Madden play style.
I think it was Cole Martin.
It was Cole, where he's like, he just runs it. He gets you kind of like used to the way that he plays.
He lulls you to sleep.
And then he gets close. He gets like 20 yards out from scoring, and everything's on the table. And you're so used to just stopping the run or focusing short that he takes a shot downfield and you just don't expect it.
You know how frustrating that is to play against?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure Kenny is an absolute...
Absolutely. And look, it's funny because we have some folks in the chat talking about it's not like what you're seeing in Tucson. It's not like what you're seeing with the Wildcats, where it is Fafita throwing to T-Mac 50 times a game.
Or you're just talking coaching.
Let's be real. If T-Mac was at Arizona State, if T-Mac was at any school in the nation, they'd be throwing him the ball 50 times a game. And if they weren't throwing it to him 50 times a game, you know what the fans would say?
Throw him the ball more.
Throw him the ball 50 times a game.
It's not about throwing. It's not about throwing it to T-Mac too many times. I don't think that that's a thing. It's about how do you find creative ways to make that fresh and exciting and keep defenses on their toes. That's where Arizona has fallen off. That's a topic for a different day.
Just anytime that Marcus Arroyo frustrates you, okay, I just want you to think, you could have Dino Babers. You don't. You have Marcus Arroyo, and that's okay.
So talking about comparisons, sticking with ASU, a comment, I believe, from Kevin Whipple, just a little bit up in the chat. We don't spend too much time on this, and maybe we can end this segment, but hot take, would you say that Sam Leavitt is a little bit better than Jaden Rashada? I would say Sam Leavitt is a lot better than Jaden Rashada.
You'd say he's a lot better than Jaden Rashada?
Just from what we've seen in an actual football field so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's got more wins than Jaden Rashada
He's got more wins. I feel like he is a little bit more consistent. I think he's a bigger body, which makes his dual threat. Like, Rashada could move, but
Rashada couldn't move the way Sam moves.
Not at all. I think Sam clears Rashada. And I think that's why Jaden is no longer here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was clearly Sam Leavitt's job at a certain point.
Yeah.
And Rashada kind of saw the writing on the wall there, and that's why he's no longer at Arizona State, and he is the third string quarterback, I believe, at this point in the season for Georgia. So again, you wish him the best, but I think Arizona State is in a better position with Sam Leavitt, and of course Kenny Dillingham still at the helm.
Jaden Rashada's starting quarterback this year.
Oh, God.
The Arizona State Sun Devils at this point of the season are what?
Why are we doing this? They've played 5 games?
Yep.
2 and 3.
Yeah, I was thinking 2 and 3.
I'll give you that. I haven't seen Rashada how he looked in fall camp. We haven't seen him on the field at all. So
the only thing Rashada has is a deep ball.
He's got a cannon.
He's got a pretty deep ball. But other than that, I'd take Sam, and Sam's working on that. And again, he hit some good passes the last couple of weeks. Other than that, there's not another facet of being a quarterback that I think I would take Jaden Rashada over Sam Leavitt.
I mean, I did not expect to have to say that we are not going to be talking about Jaden Rashada anymore today. I promise.
Tomorrow?
Maybe. We might talk about Jaden Rashada tomorrow. You want to do a full show?
Just screw prepping for Utah.
Yeah.
Let's do a deep dive on Jaden Rashada.
Well, look, we do have sound from Kenny Dillingham's press conference this week. Just wrapped up a couple hours ago. We are going to hear from Kenny, but we first are going to take a quick break.
And of course, we're taking our break to talk to you about our friends over at Sanderson Ford. Buying a car is stressful.
Yeah.
Renting a car is stressful. Even just going and looking at cars can be stressful.
Driving is stressful.
So much stress. And when you go to make such a big decision, you don't want to feel rushed. You don't want to feel unimportant. You want to feel taken care of. And the people at Sanderson Ford are there not just to put you in a car, but put you in the car.
Ooh.
You had that experience with Sanderson Ford.
They had to pull me out of that car.
They literally had to peel you away because they matched a car and Totri so perfectly. And when you go, not only are they amazing with customer service, they're amazing when they get involved in the community as well. Plus, since it's a long process and there's no way around it, paperwork and whatnot for getting a car, they have a diner with great prices and great food all for you. Plus, right now, get deals on the 2024 Ford Bronco Sport for 5.9% APR for 66 months plus $2,000. Must be financed through Ford Motor Credit OAC. Also, help us celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with Dia de los Muertos inspired trunk or treat at Sanderson Ford CD dealership for details.
Look, House of Heat earlier in the show said that he was at the game. He saw us. Look, I had fans messaging me even today saying how much fun they had out at that Arizona State football game. One heck of a win. And if you guys want to go check out the next Arizona State football game, well, guess what? It is a good one. I'm looking at tickets right now.
I'm about to pull it up too.
$24 is the cheapest you can go see number 16 Utah and Arizona State. A Friday night. Go to the game and use Game Time, guys. Game Time. They got a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. Guys, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
Captain Redbeard?
Game time.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Erik, do you want to hear from Sweet Prince Kenny?
There's nothing I would want more in the world.
Kenny is one of a kind, and I've noticed as this team starts to win, the press conferences get longer and longer and longer.
What a shocker.
Last year, press conferences were like 14, 15 minutes long. Today's press conference was about 28 to 30 minutes long.
If they beat Utah, you're in there for 2 hours.
You might be. You might be. And look, later on today, we are going to have that entire Kenny Dillingham press conference from this morning up on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. So again, make sure you are subscribed to PHNX Sports because that is going to be up there on top of our PHNX power rankings. So definitely stay all locked in for that. But your Arizona State Sun Devils, 4-1. Utah coming to town, also 4-1. Under the lights, Friday night. It's going to be a massive, massive game for Arizona State. Kenny called it a little bit of a measuring stick as to where Arizona State is at this point in the season. And then realistically, the biggest part of this game for the Sun Devils is going to be the physicality. Yeah. It's not going to be the quarterbacks. And yes, everyone wants to talk about Cam Rising and Isaac Wilson, and that's fine. And we have sound from that. But if Arizona State is going to win this football game, it's because they out-physicaled Utah. That's how this game is going to be won.
What did I mention earlier? When you go through the first 2 weeks, they dominated those games because they dominated on both lines. And then you go back to Kansas, and they're able to dominate on the offensive line to allow Leavitt and Scat and the rest of the running back room to actually make an impact.
Yeah.
Because Kansas had more passing yards than ASU this game. Jalon Daniels played a really good game, but ASU was able to ground and pound and wear them down. And every time that Kansas was able to score, ASU had an answer because they were consistently dominant in the trenches. So if you go up against a Utah team, that's going to be harder to do that against than a Kansas.
A ranked Utah.
And if you're able to replicate some of that, you're still going to need a lot of players to step up and to have some good performances, but you have a shot. You 100% have a shot if you do that.
Yeah, you have 100% a shot in every game this season. And this is not our words. Kenny Dillingham at today's press conference said that there are no upsets in the Big 12.
But there's no such thing as an upset in the Big 12. Like, there's not a such thing. There's just another game. That's bottom line. There's no favorites. There's no non-favorites. It's another game versus another team who can beat you and repeat for 9 weeks in a row.
I mean, he's right. We've seen it how many times this season? Oklahoma State's 3-3 at this point. Kansas State goes and whoops Arizona, and then on the flip end loses to BYU. UCF is on top of the world. Colorado goes into Florida, dominates them. Arizona, fresh off a win over Utah at home against Texas Tech. Texas Tech shows up, finds a way to win that football game. Like, it really is in any given Saturday mentality when it comes to the Big 12 right now.
I'm still coining the Pac-12ification of the Big 12. Because
wrong.
That was the trademark of Pac-12 games, is you never knew what was going to happen because A, they played late at night and it was crazy, and B, everybody ate everybody. Nobody loved getting in their own way more than the top teams in the Pac-12.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I mean, right now, unless you're in Iowa State, everybody else has kind of gotten in their own way a little bit.
Yeah, they've lost games that in theory they shouldn't.
Right. And Utah's an interesting one because, them losing to Arizona without Cam Rising is not like a terrible loss, but they did lose at home as well, which is tough. So there's no upsets, but part of that is because, man, you got to be prepared every single day.
Do you know the top 5 teams in standings? Without looking, Erik, jeez. Did you look? Did you look too hard?
I knew before you were going to ask.
Did you look too hard?
I knew before you were going to ask.
You knew all 5. You knew 1 through 5. Stop looking.
We did our Big 12 power rankings,
rankings are different than standings.
Yeah, I know, but I still looked at the standings. I looked at the games. I went back and watched
Okay, well, this. Then we're going to see. Show me or tell me the top 5 teams in this conference right now.
I know Texas Tech is 1.
Texas Tech is 1. You know because you looked.
I know that because I know that.
Oh, okay.
BYU.
2.
Colorado.
Colorado is 4.
Iowa State.
3.
And Utah.
Nope.
Who?
West Virginia.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's right. That was my next guess.
Because they're undefeated in Big 12 play, but they're only 3-2.
Now, do you know the bottom 3?
Kansas.
All of these schools are 0-3. Yes.
Kansas, TCU.
Nope.
No, wait, no. TCU.
They
who
just
did TCU
got
beat?
I don't know who TCU.
TCU beat a Big 12 team?
Yeah, that's what it says.
They lost to UCF.
We don't need to get into TCU. Just tell me the other 2 teams.
Everybody's
beating
Everybody
Kansas.
beat Kansas.
Yeah.
UCF. I know UCF.
They're 1-1. Kansas, Baylor, Oklahoma State.
Oh, dude, Oklahoma State.
Your 3 bottom teams in the Big 12 standings. Kenny's right. There is no such thing. And there was people in the chat saying that they were listening to Kyle Whittingham's press conference this morning. There's still some uncertainty about the whole quarterback situation going on there. It's going to be a Friday night.
I feel like
ASU is going to pack that place. And there's a chance.
I think Rising plays.
There's a chance.
I think Rising plays. That's my gut.
If Rising plays, do you think it makes that much of a difference?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fair.
Yes.
That's fair.
Yes.
I'm just asking. We haven't seen Rising in a couple weeks. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Jeez.
Yeah, but he's still better than Isaac Wilson.
Everybody lost their mind in here.
It's better than Isaac Wilson.
He is better than Isaac Wilson.
Him injured is probably better than Isaac Wilson.
Kyle Whittingham, I guess, seems to think otherwise.
It's just more of like a liability issue.
Yeah, well, guess what?
What?
Kenny says that your Arizona State Sun Devils are going to be prepped for both Isaac Wilson and Cam Rising.
We lost. We recruited him. I mean, he was one of our top guys. I mean, I built a relay. I played chess with him. You can ask him about our chess match. We're going to prepare for Utah. And, Cam's one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He's been one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He's one of the toughest players in college football. I think anybody who questions Cam Rising's toughness needs to go watch him play the game of football. And I think you'll put to rest the question on Cam Rising's toughness. So we're preparing to play Cam and Isaac. And whoever we play. But more importantly, we're preparing to play us. And we have to be the best versions of us on Saturday. And that's cliche and corny, but it's the absolute truth.
The end is the most important part. Obviously, it becomes a lot harder for ASU to win this game if a relatively healthy Cam Rising is playing over Isaac Wilson. I mean, you saw what happened when Arizona played Isaac Wilson. Doesn't look good for Isaac Wilson. Doesn't look good for Utah. But Utah is still a good enough team that ASU absolutely is, quote, playing themselves, like Kenny is saying. Because if you go out there and you play your best game of the season on both sides of the ball, Cam Rising could be playing. You will win that game if you play your best game of the season on both sides of the ball.
Assuming Utah doesn't also play their best game.
Yeah, I guess if it's best for best with Cam Rising, you're kind of out of luck there. But How often does that happen?
I mean, we haven't seen Cam Rising at his best in a while.
No, we haven't seen Cam Rising at his best. But Utah, of course, is going to be mad coming off of a loss against Arizona and then a bye week. But if you are able to play the most complete game of the season, from the lines to the skill position players to your quarterback to your coaching staff, and you're able to say that was by far and away our best performance, I think even if Cam Rising plays, Arizona State has a massive chance to walk out of, I was going to say Sun Devil Stadium, not Sun Devil Stadium anymore, but it is to me, with a win.
Yeah, and that would be huge. You win that game.
Oh, you're in the top 25.
You're in the top 25 if you beat number 16.
5-1 with your one loss being to a Tech team that has a good record and is better than a lot of people are kind of expecting.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if Tech continues to march through the conference, then that ends up playing well for Arizona State at this point, right? You would have loved to beat them
afterwards.
Tech is on a bye, it looks like, this week.
Which is maybe even better, considering the fact that they're 5-1 and you're looking at, Cincy's played okay this year. They beat Cincy, they beat Arizona, they beat ASU. Their only loss coming to Washington State, and that was without Taj Brooks. Texas Tech is kind of the only team ASU's played this year so far that they've beat and has not fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
So as far as rankings go, Texas Tech is not really going to drop that much if they're on, which they are on a bye this week. ASU beats Utah. They're the only game, prime time Friday night.
National television.
National
ESPN.
television.
Get that dub, dude.
Dude, get that dub. You are ranked.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. You win, you're ranked.
You're the story. You are the story of that night, and then next day, of course, there are games going on. People are like, oh yeah, Arizona State ranked.
Yeah, and that was this past week with TCU and Houston. People were like, wait, Houston beat TCU?
Yeah, but on a way smaller scale because it's like, oh, you're not.
It's on the opposite end of the scale because it was like Houston's so bad that how did they beat TCU, right? And it's like Totri's been telling us that TCU has been hot garbage all year. We should know this by now.
House of Heat Sports saying we could get a BYU versus ASU college game day. That'd be nuts.
It'd be nuts for more reasons.
Yeah, we have.
It'd be nuts.
Yeah.
We can't say anything else. But
let's manifest.
We've
that.
talked Cam Rising.
Yep.
Right. Whether he plays or not, Isaac Wilson will be ready for that game if he has to go. Mm-hmm. Arizona State will also be ready for Isaac Wilson. But Kenny was saying today that they originally tried to get Isaac Wilson here in Tempe.
We lost. We recruited him. I mean, he was one of our top guys. I mean, I built a relay. I played chess with him. You can ask him about our chess match here. I beat him here. And then he beat me on chess.com, so he got me back. He got it back. And I shouldn't have beat him. He should have beat me. He's really good, actually. But he's a smart guy. He's savvy. He's confident. He extends plays with his legs. Obviously, I mean, he had to go on the road to start in Stillwater. I mean, good. I mean, and they found a way to win the football game. So kudos to him. But he's just a very confident guy back there. Like I said, he extends plays, confident, can make all the throws. That's why we recruited him. So I know the bye week, what it did for Sam is going to do the same thing for him. If he's the guy, they're going to find a comfort in him, find what he's good at. They're going to double down on what he's good at. They're going to play to his strengths coming off of a bye with a younger quarterback. So I think we're going to get a better version of him, or we're going to get one of the best quarterbacks in college football, Cam Rising. Either way, we have to play Utah, and their brand of football is if you can't stop the run, it really doesn't matter what anybody else does. If they rush the ball for 6 yards a carry and they stone you, right? Everybody else in the field they're just kind of there, waving a towel. It's all about the physicality of this football team and the culture of the football team.
The bye week is the biggest part, not just because Utah has had time to be mad after a loss like ASU did after Texas Tech. You come out and you play Kansas, but Isaac Wilson was not looking great, but was thrown into a situation where, you're a backup quarterback. I'm sure you're ready and you expect to play, but sometimes when it actually happens, you got to go through some bumps, right? And like you mentioned, true freshman. So having a bye week and having a coach like Kyle Whittingham on a bye week is probably a whole different animal.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a coach in Kyle Whittingham that's been at Utah in Salt Lake City now for 20 plus years.
Seen quarterbacks come through.
There is a culture, and it's something that we've talked about. It's something that Kenny has talked about a number of times, that this is really, that's the model. That's the model for how Kenny wants to build Arizona State. is you do it the way that Whittingham has done it. And he mentioned it today, saying the thing that's been interesting about Utah and watching that program over the last decade plus, right, is that this is a team in Utah that has never won recruiting. You've never been, seeing at the end of a recruiting cycle, oh my gosh, Utah got this 5-star, that 5-star, they won, like they had the highest class or whatever. It's been Utah and Kyle Whittingham know their brand of football. They know the culture, and they've went and got guys that they think are best to fit the style of play that they have that also meet the culture as a personal and character perspective. They bring in those guys consistently. And another thing Kenny said was they've managed to keep their coaches there, which is a hard thing to do in college football. But year over year, there's people that want Utah coaches. Kyle Whittingham's got the secret recipe to keeping those guys in Salt Lake City, and it's paid off. And that is why Utah is such a tough team to beat, is because it's a team that understands year over year what their brand of football is, versus when you look out across college football year over year, you've got new guys from the transfer portal, which yes, Utah does, but they've got guys that fit their mold. They don't chase.
Yeah, they have a quarterback who's been around
since we were children.
Yeah, since Arch Manning was a literal child. That's why it's with Isaac Wilson. Obviously, my confidence level skyrockets if Isaac Wilson's playing instead of Cam Rising, but it's by no means closing the door on a Utah win.
No.
Utah, even with Isaac Wilson, would be favored to win this game on the road.
Yeah, they are.
That's what, and I think part of the line is that you don't know who's playing in Cam Rising or Isaac Wilson, but this is a team that, looking back at this, biggest test of the season, and if they win,
we've said that every week.
Yeah, but every week it's right.
Yeah,
we're not wrong. I'm not lying to you.
No.
Hey, can I continue my perfect week 1 opponent, perfect week 2 opponent,
you
perfect
sell
week
it?
3 opponent? Do you know who I am?
Go ahead, sell it.
This is the perfect week 7 opponent for Arizona State University, because you're sitting at 4-1. You just beat a Kansas team that you should have beaten, but is better than the record, right? You have some doubters still. You're not ranked. However, you're still in the top part of the Big 12. And there's no better way for people to actually take you seriously, for people to look at your record and to say, you know what, on a national perspective, we're buying what Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils are selling. Because right now, it's just a nice little story. And, the college football sickos and the freaks, they're like, oh, wow, yeah, that's awesome. We love ASU. Woohoo. Look how much fun they are. But the national, they don't care. Nobody cares. You go out on a Friday night, prime time, only game out there at home, taking on a ranked team in Utah, and you beat them and you dominate them. Nobody has any chance. Nobody has any choice to ignore you anymore.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that is 100% fair.
If they played UCF this week, if they played Houston this week, if they played Cincinnati this week,
it wouldn't be a perfect.
It wouldn't matter if they won as much. People would be like, oh, that's a nice story. You won. That's great. We wouldn't be talking ranked.
Yeah. No, you're right. We wouldn't be talking ranked. We'd be talking about votes. But this kickstarts it. This immediately puts you in that AP top 25, at least in my estimation. But a big part of getting that done, right? I still believe that this would be an upset in this conference if Arizona State was to beat a ranked Utah team at home. It is going to take Arizona State playing their best game of the season. Last week they didn't, and they still won, right?
Yeah, but you can't afford that.
No, you can't. And that's what I'm saying is you have to focus on you. You have to focus on each individual player playing their best game in meeting the expectations of the fans and more importantly of their coaches, in really getting in a groove early, establishing dominance early in this game. It's not going to be about Utah, but Kenny Dillingham says it's going to be about Arizona State.
It's about us. We still, other than the first half of Wyoming, which was, I think I said it was one of the best halves of football I've been associated with, we haven't played a clean game. At least haven't. And I think that's the challenge for our guys is let's go play up to the level we're capable of, right? And that's not even with getting better. If we just stayed the same and played to the level that we were capable of in the last few weeks, we're going to be a tough team to beat. And then hopefully we're also getting better and then going to go play to our capability. But we still haven't done that. But with Sam, he's just going to get better every week. I think I've said it 2 weeks in a row, but this is the worst he's ever going to be. That doesn't mean he's going to have a bad game. He's going to. I'm going to coach a bad game. I'm going to suck again, right? One of these weeks when I come into this press conference. That's the nature of the sport, right? But as long as at the end of the day that meter's going up by the end of the year, then I know we're going in the right direction.
Buy stock in Arizona State now. Buy stock in the Sun Devils, because if they play their best game, you're talking about a ranked Arizona State team that, again, they just beat a team in Kansas that is better than their record with good players, and they did it losing the turnover battle and giving up a blocked field goal.
This would be the biggest story in college football if ASU beats Utah.
You're talking this week or all like for the season thus far?
I think for the season so far. ASU is a team that was picked last in the Big 12. There were some people who were saying they might not win a game this year. There were people going out there said there's no chance. Kenny Dillingham, you're just rebuilding. If you go out there and you're 5-1 and you just beat Utah and you solidified yourself as one of the top teams in the Big 12, if you're 5-1 and you beat Utah, with the way that this conference is going, Big 12 championship game is on the table.
They want us to do a 24-hour stream so bad.
We're good. I'll do it. That's fine.
Yeah, we do. We will do a 24-hour stream if Arizona State wins the Big 12.
Wins the Big 12. Maybe a 12-hour stream if they just make the game. I'm not going to commit to that, though. But this would be the biggest story in college football because it would be the biggest rise. I think, obviously, right now, it's still one of the biggest stories in the Big 12 is how good ASU is compared to where they are.
That is the story, along with how bad Kansas and Oklahoma State have been.
I think BYU is the biggest surprise this season.
I would disagree. But that is...
People had BYU around where Arizona State was in the bottom 5 teams, and they are a top 2 team in this conference right now.
Oklahoma State and Kansas and Arizona were all talks of college football playoff. Big 12 representative.
Yeah, that's fair.
None of them are ranked. None of them are undefeated in conference play.
But BYU was like the other end.
Kansas hasn't beaten an FBS team. Oklahoma State hasn't won a game in this conference thus far. And Arizona sucks.
What happened to Arizona?
They suck.
Oh, no, I totally missed that.
Yeah, Brent Brennan, 7-5 special. Order up. Ding, ding. It's coming. It's coming, I promise. God, these Arizona fans just bug me, dude. They bug me. It's okay.
We don't have to worry about them.
You're right. We don't have to worry about them, but we are going to take a glimpse. We're going to pull back the curtain on what is in store for Arizona State against Utah. We're going to do it right after this break. We are in Studio K, of course. Shout out Circle K for this amazing, amazing studio. Best part of the studio? The little snacks back there. Okay, we are working around the clock and nonstop here, which I'm sure a bunch of you are doing as well. In Circle K, they have got snacks to fuel you, and of course, they've got great deals on gas to fuel your car as well. Join the Inner Circle. It's a free membership program ran by Circle K. It's super easy to download and sign up. You can literally do it while this is going on right now. Enter your email and phone number to be fully enrolled, and after that, all you need is your phone number to get deals. So literally, you stop to go get gas, you drive up, you put in your phone number, boom, it takes off 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, and then every day after that, you're saving 3 cents per gallon as well. Guys, join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
I wear my Shady Rays every single day. A lot of the time, I even wear them on this show. Wore them during our post game, which if you missed the post game, go ahead and check that out. Still a super fun time. And I'm wearing them right now because they are not just comfortable, which is an underrated aspect with all sunglasses, but they're reliable, they're durable. They have crystal clear optics, polarized frames. It's not polarized frames. The actual sunglasses part of polarized, not frames. Maybe that's the next step, and Shady Rays would be on the edge of innovation when it comes to sunglasses. Of course, they are rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people, and that's massive for an independent sunglasses company like Shady Rays. Maybe my style isn't your style. That's fine.
It's not my style.
We're going to hold on to that one. They have different styles for absolutely everybody, different colors for the favorite teams you support, and everything plus a eyewear guarantee backup. If they don't fit, you can exchange it for a new pair, worry-free within 30 days. Plus, if they ever broken or go missing, you can replace them as well. And for our listeners, you get 35% off polarized sunglasses by using code PHNX at ShayRays.com. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right. Why take a shot?
Why not?
I think I dress well.
I think you do too. I mean, you're definitely, if we're ranking the top 5 dressers in the office, I would say you're right at like 5.
I'm at 5. Who's above me?
I think I'm above you. I think Leah's above you. Damon's above you.
Okay.
Let's see. Is there a 4th one? I'm trying to think if there's somebody that's better.
You would put yourself as number 1.
No. Damon is number 1. Damon's 1 in my eyes, then Leah, then me.
Okay.
Kevin?
I think Erik dresses better than Kevin. Oh. Yeah.
Kyle's like, I don't.
I don't know. Maybe you're 4.
I'll take 4.
Maybe you're 4.
I'll take
Shane's
4.
got some cool shirts.
Shane does have some cool shirts. I got some new heat that I'm bringing out for the fall. So I might be giving y'all a run for your money.
I love it. Kevin in the chat, I love you guys so much. Your podcast always get me hyped throughout the week. I can't wait for the game against Utah. Go Devils. We appreciate you.
We'll be here.
Very much, Kevin. Yes, we will be live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then, of course, on game day, Friday, post-game show. It's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah.
We're going to be celebrating.
Well, hopefully.
Hopefully.
And if worst case scenario happens, we'll be here for a therapy session. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if just real quick, end of the show, we're going to get more into Utah. If I had to say, what's the biggest obstacle standing in the way from Arizona State's perspective as far as winning this game on Friday that Utah presents? The number one obstacle that Utah presents for this game is,
I would say it's the team's physicality.
Okay, that's where I was going to go as well.
This is a team in Utah that I don't think Big 12 fans truly understood when we said that this team was going to be the favorite to win the conference. Is they play old school football. They hit you in the mouth. Mm-hmm. They do it from the first play, and they hit you in the mouth until the last play of the game. Mm-hmm. Arizona State lost to Utah last year. I believe it was 55-3.
Yeah,
was the final score of that game.
I wasn't on that post game show, but I was in the building during that game.
And that is a team. Again, I think Arizona State is a very physical team. This defense, though, is going to be without Clayton Smith.
Yeah,
and they are going to be without Keyshawn Elliott for the first half of this game. So you are going to need to find a way to out-physical this team from the jump without 2 of your best defenders. And it's not going to be an easy feat for this team. It is gonna make a difference. Again, I tweeted it out earlier today. Clayton Smith is 2nd in this conference in sacks, which is, I think, a crazy stat because I don't think anyone's talked about that at this point in the season. Miles Rouser, I believe, is top 10 in total tackles for Arizona State. So you're going to need him to lock in. But it really is the physicality of this team that is going to make a difference. And you see it defensively for this team. They are 2nd in terms of total yards per game allowed. The only defense better is Iowa State. In terms of passing yards allowed, they sit at number 5, right? And then when it comes to points per game, only Iowa State allows fewer. Utah only allows 15 points per game. This defense in Utah is a problem.
Yeah, this is the most physical team that ASU is probably going to play all year.
No question.
And we've seen them, play really well when it came to physical battles early in the season. And even against Kansas, I would say they won the physical battle, but none of those teams hold a candle to Utah.
No.
And one of your biggest tone setters is Clayton Smith, right? Is Keyshawn Elliott as far as physicality goes.
Bring the boom.
On the positive note, you do get them for the second half.
You do.
They're
you
not
get them
gone
fresh.
for the whole game.
You get them fresh.
Right? So maybe they can see something that needs to be done. If you can, contain Utah and be up or not have Utah score a lot of points in the first half, then you add 2 of your best, if not your best players on defense in the second half.
I'm not worried about you. I think this is going to be a lullaby game. I think I know, and I think fans should go out to this game. I think fans that love smash mouth football, JYDs, junkyard dogs out there, that's what you're going to get. You are going to get a low-scoring game. At least this is what I think. Again, it's Monday. My opinion could change. You have a team in Arizona State. What do? They run the ball really well with Cam Scatterboot, one of the most physical running backs in the country, and they play defense, right?
Yeah.
Utah, what do? They play really, really good defense, and they like to run the football. everyone wants to put Cam Rising and those wide receivers, Dorian Singer, out there. This team in Utah likes to run the football. They like to hit you in the mouth. You've got two teams that love doing the same exact thing. Utah's just been doing it for 20 years, right? Arizona State in year 2, new culture, new program, new mentality, new physicality. You're going to get two teams that are just going to keep hitting the heck out of each other for 4 quarters. And whoever is still standing, that's who's going to win.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. It's going
to be a boxing match type of game, dude.
And you know that Kenny wants his lick back for last year.
Yeah, you lose 50. At the presser today, somebody in the question had brought up, you guys lost to Utah, blah, 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 and like kind of glided past it. And Kenny said, what was that score again? Guy said 55-3. And he went like this.
That's an underrated aspect. Underrated aspect of the season so far is the Kenny Dillingham revenge tour. Obviously, you haven't played anybody so far that you played last season.
Nope.
And you're not going to until, again, Utah, and then when you play Arizona.
This is this first game.
Utah and Arizona, that's it.
Oklahoma State, too.
Oh, that's right. They did play Oklahoma State last year.
No.
Last year sucked. Last year sucked.
It was a stinky year.
And I wasn't here, but I was running the radio broadcast for ASU. I was doing post games by myself. This is let's just put this in perspective, because we're so grateful and lucky to be where we are right now, where we're talking about a Utah game mattering, being on the precipice of the top 25, the fact that ASU actually has a good chance of winning this game. Southern Utah week 1 win. Of course, the weirdest game of all time. After that, it's just straight L's until October 28th. L to Oklahoma State, Fresno State, USC, Cal, Colorado, Washington.
I know.
It sucked.
I know. You do not have to tell me how much last season sucked.
But look at us now. Who would have thought?
Don't be done. Don't be done here.
No, I'm not
satisfied with this.
I'm not done. I'm excited.
Don't be satisfied.
Who said I was satisfied? I'm grateful, not satisfied.
Well,
I'm grateful. It makes me hungry for more. I want more. For the first one, House of Heat Sports. For the first one. Yeah. If there was a PHNX radio, your boy would be on there.
Absolutely. Do you want to talk about
butter
this
on toast
Utah offense?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm notorious for not liking butter on toast.
I know, that's why I said that.
So Utah's offense ranks literally middle of the pack in passing, in rushing, in points per game. Like, this is a team in Utah. No, Utah in terms of points per game, it's bottom 4 actually. They only average about 28 points per game. It's crazy. In this conference, there are a ton of teams that are averaging like high 30s or mid 30s. Like Arizona State right now is in your top 5 most points per game.
They are?
For Big 12, yeah.
Is Cincy
They're averaging 33.2 points per game. Cincinnati's 4, yeah. 33.4.
Cincy's interesting. That's going to be an interesting game.
It is, and it's a 9 a.m. kickoff.
That's crazy.
I love that.
I do too. We get the rest of our day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be nice.
It's going to be so much fun. But yeah, Utah is a very interesting team. Offensively, again, they don't do anything. Well,
that's also without Cam Rising for a majority.
How many times though are we going to say it is without Cam Rising?
It matters.
It's what they've done.
It matters.
You can only evaluate this team on what they have done, and what they have done so far has been middle of the pack offensively.
Yeah, but like if you're playing the same team that played those games, then sure. But there's a really good chance that you're playing Cam Rising.
Is there a really good chance?
I think there is.
What makes you think? Have you talked to the doctors?
Yeah, man. Me and Cam are texting all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Cam Rising has played one game this season.
I'm helping Cam Rising get on Indeed.
He has played one game this season.
I know.
Do you know what his stats were in the one game?
No.
Take a guess.
Like 400 yards.
346 yards. How many touchdowns?
3.
7.
Who was that against?
They played nobody week 1.
Troy?
No, it wasn't Troy.
Hey, Texas State did beat Troy.
They played... let's see. I turned on that game just because it was Troy, by the way.
I'm glad that
he played against Baylor too. 8 for 14, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns.
That's where
so he threw 5 in his first game, 2 in his second game.
And then he got injured.
If
that guy plays football on Friday, it makes a difference. That's why you bring it up. I know it's annoying, and I know that he should be like selling insurance right now, but
he looks like an insurance
salesman. Oh, dude. The Cam Rising automobile I don't say store. That's not what you call them. Dealership. That's why do we call other things stores? Dealership is such a better name. Like, hey man, I'm going to the sandwich
The sandwich
dealership. Yeah, that goes crazy.
What would you call it, a dealership or just a dealer?
The dealer. Oh, dude, I'm gonna hit my dealer up
I'm
later.
gonna hit my sandwich dealer.
Yeah. Oh, what are you gonna grab? Probably a meatball marinara. It's a meatball Monday here at PHNX.
Do you have anything else to add on Utah?
I think I'm loopy. I'm loopy right now.
Look, tomorrow we are going to be talking about Utah's offense going up against Arizona State's defense. We are going to have sound from Kyle Whittingham. So definitely stay locked in. Make sure you're subscribed to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Like I said, we're going to be live 5 days this week talking about this Arizona State-Utah matchup. It is going to be a ton of fun. So again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop 5 stars, 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. We appreciate. We appreciate everybody in the chat. We really do. Whether you are watching live or listening on audio, you make a difference. Look, if you enjoyed the content, you give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow this guy right here, Long Neck Larry, also known as Chicken Little, at Erik Ruby. That is Erik with a K. You can follow Captain Redbeard at K Coop Sports. But in the meantime, guys, go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.